What's good, family? How y'all doing? I just wanted to tap in right quick while I'm on the move. Just had a thought, and just kind of wanted to share it and get y'all's thoughts and opinions, and see what my thought was. Is that a lot of times we only encounter racism to a degree that we subject ourselves to it, right? What I mean by that is, a lot of places where we experience racism is because we have to go to other cultures for other things. Now, let me expound upon that. Now, what I mean is, like, when you want to go to the grocery store, you got to go to Walmart, Target, Whole Foods, wherever you go. It's not a black institution, right? And in those different institutions are people that, sometimes that you encounter that don't like you, that discriminate against you. It's the same with work and employment. It's the same with just anything. And what I mean by we subjecting ourselves to it, well, what I mean is, since we don't have our own institutions, our own businesses, we have to go outside of our neighborhoods, outside of our own cultures to get these services. And we subject ourselves to those different types of racism. And I say that to say, as I've always said, is that, you really need to invest more in your own businesses, working for your own businesses, starting your own businesses, and actually building the black economy. Because so much of what we face as trial and tribulations could be eliminated by just having our own. If I don't need to go to you, you can't discriminate against me because I can fend for myself. I'm self-sufficient. As a community, as a culture, we could be self-sufficient. And when we are self-sufficient, we don't need to go to outside cultures and subject ourselves to being mistreated because we have our own. We can provide for our own. We don't need them. And on top of which, when we go to them, we give away some of our best resources. They talk about, black people have the spending power of $14 billion a year. But guess what? By and large, we are still broken without wealth. Why? Even though we have that spending power, we spend it outside of our community. We spend it with other businesses, with people who don't look like us. We empower them, the same people that discriminate against us, but we buy their products by and large. And I get it. A lot of times there's not a well-known black alternative. We lack a lot, and that's why I try to keep pushing, like, we got to start businesses. There's people out here that need your services, whatever that might be, need your talent. If maybe you're not in a position or you don't have the wherewithal to want to start a business, you need to be working for a black business because your skill set will empower that black business, make that black business more valuable to the culture. And so it's just imperative. I just want you to think about that. A lot of the things that we experience, we subject ourselves to because we have to go outside of our community to get certain services, to buy certain products, to get, just basic needs even. And until we are self-sufficient, we're going to keep experiencing that. Like, so many of our problems could be remedied by us just starting businesses and providing the things that we need. We know what we need. Who knows what we need better than us? Let's provide those things to one another. Let's empower those that have, begun to start businesses. And, I get it. Everybody's services ain't up to par. Everybody's product ain't up to par. So you do need to be selective. But for those that are providing quality services, be patient with them. Quality products, be patient with them. Help them grow. Help them navigate being a business owner. Because for a lot of us, it's our first time. We don't have generations of business owners that have passed down, just the game, if you will, of operating a business, of how important customer service is, of how important it is to know your numbers, of how important it is to just do different things. I just encourage you to be patient with them. And then also to those business owners, I encourage you to learn those things. If you're going to embark on starting businesses, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know about profit, loss, your different liabilities. You need to know about acquiring assets. You need to know about diversifying your money. Just don't jump off the porch and go out there. You need to do some due diligence. But also, don't sit there and overanalyze. There's a thing called analysis paralysis, where all you do is just consume information, but you never make a move. So, get enough information to feel confident enough to jump out there, but don't sit there and consume so much information that you become stagnant and don't do anything. So, make moves, do great things. And yeah, I just wanted to really share that with y'all because, I just hear all the time, see all the time, another case of somebody being discriminated against, another case of somebody, being called, some racial slur or something like that. And it's because you have to go outside of your culture to get the things that you need to survive. And that's something we need to get away from. You don't hear these things by and large from the Asian community. You know why? Because they can stay in Asia Town where they provide all the services their community needs, the essentials. You know, some places have Jewish Town. These communities support and provide the services that their community needs. So they build wealth within themselves, and then also they don't have to experience those things because they don't even come in contact with other cultures in some cases or some instances, because their community provides everything that they need. And within that, they enrich themselves, and their money flows through their community, 6-7 times, where the black dollar, it flows through the community maybe, once at best. Who's black that you spending your money with, by and large? I know there's some exceptions to this rule, by far, but by and large, who you spending it with? The weed man, barber, beautician, and then after that, it kind of gets a little, So we got to make sure that we're starting businesses, and for those that are starting businesses, quality businesses, that we're supporting them, going out of our way to support them, because it is vital. We sit here and talk about generational wealth. Well, you can't be talking about generational wealth and not thinking about what the generation after you is going to have. As a community, we have 1% or less than 1% of the wealth that is in America. What we leaving them? So we just got to really build our community's economics. We can't keep going outside of our community to get our services, to get the different things that we need. It is vital. It is bigger than self. It is about all of us. And you just let that be a thought that just kind of runs and sits in the back of your head, because our survival. How many of y'all wanted to start a business, but you can't find capital? You know why? Because you got to go outside of your community to look for a bank. How many times have you wanted a job, but you couldn't get one knowing that you're qualified, but the tension in the room just ain't right, or whatever the case may be? And this is not about disliking another race. What I'm telling you is, rather than getting mad all the daggum time, just have your own. When you got your own, you empower yourself, and you ain't got to deal with the other shit. I would just leave y'all with that thought. And so, yeah, I know this one ain't going to be as long as my other ones. It's a little quick video. But that thought was just on my mind. And I just wanted to share with y'all. So many of the issues that we face really boils down to economics. And because we don't have our own economic system that is independent of other cultures, we suffer a lot of times. And, just so many things like that just come to mind. I mentioned the banks and financing. Also, like I said, jobs, just so many things. So many things. And when you are strained like that economically, you can't progress. You can't thrive when your lifeline is being constricted, essentially. It's like being choked, because they won't allow you the economical means, or the capital, or access to capital rather, that you need to thrive. We need to be more community oriented. We need to be more focused on our future. We talk about generational wealth, but what does that really look like? There's a lot of different things that impact wealth, especially when you're talking about creating wealth that is going to stand for generations to come. And there has to be a financial base. There has to be a financial base. And we as a community do not have one. We seek others for help for everything, for employment, for food, for everything. None of it comes from our community, because we don't produce. All we do is consume, and that is very, very, very dangerous. We need to become producers. There's so much wealth in this world, and we're, by a community. I know it's a lot of great individuals out here doing great things, so I'm not talking about them. And I'm not downing or shunning anybody that's not on it yet, because if you're listening to me, hopefully I can encourage you to kind of change and adjust and get on it humbly, if you would allow my opinion to sit in your mind. But yeah, it's imperative. You can't have another thing. It's not a slight to anybody that has a job. I had a job for many years, much longer than I've been self-employed. But just like you go back to that Dame Dash conversation on the Breakfast Club, like, you can't pass down a job. And though a job can be an avenue or a vehicle to get you somewhere, but you have to be mindful of something beyond that. So yeah, you work the job, but maybe you're a business owner, and I don't even mean directly where you're managing. You just have interest in a business where you collect money, or it appreciates in value over time because you guys are innovative, or whatever the case may be. But you have to start thinking about wealth. There's 3 keys to wealth. That's entrepreneurship, that's investing in stocks and bonds, and real estate. That's how you build wealth, and that's what we need to be focusing on. Entrepreneurship, that's your businesses. That's what I keep harping on. We gotta have more representation there. We spend a lot of money, but we need to keep a lot of that in our community so that we can you just think about how many of y'all really want to do something great for your community, but you don't have the means to do so. Like, you got great ideas, great thoughts, great intentions, but you don't have the means, the capital, or whatever to do the things that you need to do. Well, if you could go to your own people because they are empowered, it would be no issue. Of course we want to give and support you, so that because you have information or you have a service that's going to empower or better us. Of course we want to get behind that. But a lot of us are not in a position to even do it because we don't have access to capital ourselves. We really got to start thinking about what generational wealth looks like, because even in that, you got the family aspect, right? And let me preface this by saying I am a dad of 3 by 3 different women. So I'm not saying this from a judgmental standpoint, more as a learned lesson. And I don't mean that in a negative way either. It's just what I can look back on my experience and see. Baby mama, baby daddy culture is not conducive to generational wealth. Why do I say that? Please don't feel triggered. I'm going to explain myself. Well, with wealth, there's legacy. And a lot of times, in the society we live in, this is all races, not just black people, but when people pass down wealth, it usually doesn't last more than a generation. A lot of times. It's only certain families that, build wealth and then pass that wealth down and get to see it grow. And the way that happens is the underlying thing of generational wealth, which is legacy. And so when you're outside of the home, it's hard to really impact and nurture and also kind of pour into that child that you're going to be raising to carry on your legacy or your family legacy. And that, I know everybody's situation is not the same, but what I am saying is that when the family is not all in the home together, mommy, daddy, and the child, where both can have they're both meaningful roles given to the child simultaneously in that, kind of the traditional or preferred scenario, where they both could be influential and both have that masculine role and as well as the feminine role. And so and be able to influence that child, for that child to see you go out, work, do what you need to do, or be present when you're having business conversations, or for you to be able to take that child under your wing and expose them to the things that you're doing, so that when you're gone, they can take on and take over and move and proceed and keep it going. And so I just want to throw that in there too, because it's a lot of things that we have to really consider if we're talking about generational wealth. That means the family has to stay intact to pass it down, from generation to generation to generation. And so it might challenge us to really correct or change some of our current habits. And I just I said earlier I was gonna leave you with that thought, but I would drop that thought to just kind of just hum you a little bit. Like, that actually adds a bit of complexity to trying to build generational wealth. It's one thing to give a child money, right? I could if I passed away, life insurance or just cash or whatever the case may be, to pass it down to my kids. Well, if I haven't instructed them, if I haven't trained them, if they haven't seen me and what I did to build this and what I did to maintain this, and I don't mean in passing, I mean day in, day out, daddy's coming, what time daddy comes home from work, what time daddy's leaving out the door to go to work, just everything that, being in the home with both parents. And I ain't just talking about daddy, because there's women doing amazing things too. So the same with women, when the child primarily lives with the dad, be able to see mommy come home from work or whatever mommy's doing, to see mommy in her, her feminine role, or whatever the case may be. But it's really hard to give our children everything that they need to be equipped to inherit generational success when we have such a baby daddy, baby mama culture. And I know it's a lot of us getting married. I know it's a lot of us that are doing it the more traditional way, and that's great. But I would really urge a lot of us to consider that, you can't change what you did. Just like me, I said, I'm a baby daddy of three times by 3 different women. That's just me being honest with you, because I don't want to even seem like I'm coming from a place where I'm talking down. This is just something that I see, and I also, you think about being separated when mom and dad is separated, right? If baby primarily lives with one parent, these are still 2 different people. Even though they had this child together, they were brought up 2 different ways. They have 2 different outlooks, and so with that, you're going to be a lot less likely to compromise with the other parent a lot of times about different views when you guys aren't together. And so a lot of times it could be, the custodial parent's way, and the other parent is just kind of going along. And so again, that goes back to, being able to influence and put what you believe to be helpful or instill those things into your child. It's kind of really hard to compromise, or be able to influence freely. And I don't want to say freely like the other parent wouldn't have any say so if you guys live together, but to find a medium balance would be a lot easier. To attack a plan together where the child is hearing the same message versus conflicting messages. Yeah, and I mean, that pertains to a lot, but particularly I'm talking about wealth and building wealth and keeping wealth. And so if you got one parent who is, a person who invests and saves, and you got another parent who's just a free spender, and maybe the child lives with the free spender who is, not necessarily doing bad, but not really thinking about the future. They might have a high paying job and they're able to afford a lot of different things, different just knickknacks, we'll call them, right? And so the child sees that and wants that life because it's more appeasing or more aesthetically appeasing to the eye, because I want to drive like that, I want to look like that, I want to wear and dress like that. And so when you can't have the opportunity or the influence on your seed, your next generation, to train them or to be like, well, yeah, you can get those things, but let's build the foundation first. Let's make sure that you're going to be set for life. Let's get some assets before we get those liabilities. And let's make sure the house is taken care of and whatever that entails and includes for you. And so, I just, I hope I didn't lose you on that. But yeah, that was on my mind. I just wanted to get this out because it popped in my head. Hope y'all doing well. If you're in the Kansas City area, it's snowing. It's snow on the ground. Y'all stay warm, stay safe. And I'll check in with y'all later. Peace.